Start missile.
Well, g'day folks, how you going? Hope things go well with you this evening. Just having a look at how some of our little connection issues are happening tonight. I had a few glitches at my end last night, so I'm plugging a few extra bits in. Oh, I might turn that on. All right. Yes, back on shortly because yes, not particularly enjoying it. Okay, so let's go through the warnings for this evening. Got one from Project Matilda, so we're not going out on Project Matilda tonight. Don't know what's going on there. I probably screwed that up somehow. I do remember there was something today about that I may have done wrong. Don't remember exactly what it was. But for the first time in a couple of weeks, I'd like to welcome back the viewers on the Voice of Freedom on YouTube channel. Haven't been allowed to broadcast to you guys for a couple of weeks, so they found something back in my history that they decided they didn't like. And yeah, I think I'm on 2 strikes on that channel at the moment and waiting until I get the third one where they'll just boot it completely. I think that will be the way of things in the future. Nice to see, though, that Rumble is rumbling along tonight. For whatever reason, it didn't play the game last night. We will get on to the Durham report, which is very interesting and something that I suppose a lot of us have discussed in private over time. I'll bring it up here very quickly and show you. We will get to the executive summary, which is probably the most interesting and quickest way of appraising what's going on there. So we'll go through that. John Durham was appointed by Donald Trump, but basically appointed in a way that he couldn't be unappointed by anybody, and that he had to deliver a report to the president regardless. And that report was meant to be delivered during Trump's time, but because of what was found, it was extended a number of times. Now, many of us worried that it even existed, and it was only maybe a couple of years ago when John Durham actually did start releasing some information. We did see these reports come out sort of on a semi-annual basis, and not much else. Nobody knew anything about Durham. Nobody knew who he was, where he was. Well, they knew who he was, but they didn't know where he was. He's a highly respected legal professional in America, and was appointed special counsel by Donald Trump to investigate those that did the investigating of the Russia corruption scandal. Anyway, we'll get into that pretty soon. I think there's going to be a lot more coming to terms with what's going on there in the coming days and weeks. It could be that becomes a real yet another trigger moment. We have been talking about things supposedly heating up, and there were rumblings about something in May, and I would say this would be it. If anybody knows of it, has anybody seen it covered in mainstream media? Because I certainly haven't today, but I have been flat out on a whole heap of other things. I have been in the process of setting up, I'm just trying to see. Oh, yep, looks like Rumble is working. Cass Smith is returning on Thursday night. Now, we're going to have a show at 7:30 on Thursday night. Cass has commitments prior to that. Now, if you are one of the many people that have emailed me and sent details through and discovered that you don't have enough super to warrant getting it out and turning it into silver and gold, because the fees and charges and everything else will absolutely kill what little amount you have in there, I'm in that bucket. Now, there are ways and means you can do that, but it means banding together in a group of similar funded people, I guess. It's better to do a withdrawal, if you like, from Big Super in amounts over $120,000. So if you have over $120,000 in super by yourself, you're fine. Would be better if you had more, but if you've got 120, you'll be able to do it all yourself. You will wear some fees, but that is the way of things. The way that the price of silver and gold is going at the moment, you'll recover those fees very, very quickly. Now, if you have less than that or significantly less than that, then you're going to need to band together with enough people to sort of bring you up around that $120,000, $130,000 limit. And then the cost of the fees is spread amongst everyone, and that makes it fairer, cheaper, and makes it all happen. How do you choose who to go into a super fund with? Do you need to do it with friends, with family? Can you do it with strangers? All these questions and more, I'm sure that you might have, will be answered on Thursday night, 7:30, with Cass Smith from Freedom Financial Services. And once again, if you didn't understand the chat that we had the night with Cass, referring to one lady who's had a bit of a problem. She's, for whatever reason, wants money back, and that's cool. Cass was happy to give it to her, but there is a fairly vicious sort of a email going around or a post going around that has a great number of inaccuracies. I'm not sure where we're at in sorting that out with that lady at the moment, but rest assured, you've got nothing to worry about. If you decide to go forward with anything in this regard, everything will be explained to you, and the only thing that you will have to actually sign to kick proceedings off is the order form to kick proceedings off, which will mean that you want to order a self-managed super fund company. So that will then, hold you on for the rest of the project until you get to the very end where you've got to sign the forms, and essentially then you can do what you like with your SMSF party. Have I got that right? Anyway, you know what I mean. Find out Thursday night with Cass, 7:30. That's going to be a big thing. Rocky Friday. We are going to Rockhampton Friday for Saturday's big event. Now, if you're in the Rocky area, and I know that there are some people coming down from Mackay for this, I think it possible that I might see a couple of people from Gladstone, from Miriam Vale. Possibly, I'm not sure. There are folks that do get motivated and jump on a motorbike or jump in a car and come from a drive up for Harvey Bay or from Maryborough. If that is the case, would love to see you there, guys. So if you guys come up, make sure you find me. And anybody who travels, come and find me. I won't be hard to find. I'll be wandering around with some cameras. And John Wilson is coming with me. So John will be speaking at this event as well. He gave me a little tip off the other night that he plans on telling a few truths at this event. So I will be live streaming what John has to say, and possibly a few others. There's quite a few others speaking at this event. So I'll get a bit of an idea of the lineup and how we can do it all. I've only got a certain amount of battery power, and I know John can talk like a man possessed at times. So we'll see how long it goes. But we will be going to Rockhampton. So if you are in that area at all, coming in from Emerald, or you want to come down from Marlborough, or Yeppoon. I know there are a lot of folks over in Yeppoon who wanted to have a show there. Call this the precursor. Come and find me. Let me know who you are, where you are, and when you want the show, and I can give you a little bit of insider information about when John and I will be coming north. There may be a camper van involved. Anyway, it's going to be a fun trip, and we'll stop at your place maybe. John can stay in the camper van. I'll come stay at your place. I mean, I like the camper van idea. It's just that there's really only one bed in the camper van. That'll be John's bed. And I'm cool with that. I'm bringing the swag, so we will make do. But it's going to be a trip that involves a lot of talking to people, quite a number of events. I think a few beers, a couple of lunches, and avoiding as many crocodiles as possible. That will be the plan. Oh, catching fish. I won't be allowed to go too far without being allowed to throw a line in somewhere. I'm pretty confident that's going to be the case. So if you're up that way, come and find me at the big event coming up in the Gardens, organised by the My Place Rockhampton folks. And there is a fairly large local webpage. I want to say it's on Facebook. I could be wrong. But it's the big May 20 event happening at the main gardens there in town. That name escapes me as I speak. Hello to a few people. Lindy and Michael Knight, first in the room tonight. Congratulations to you. And I've got to say, that's a big effort considering there is a bit of a race on with Daniel and Sue, and Starseed likes to get in there a bit too. Yeah, very cool. Dave-O, you're only just missed it by a 15th of a middle thing tonight. So there you go. Rumble is working, mate, so I hope that you've got that sorted. Aussie Sue, God love you. How are you? Hello to Maria, Toxic Q. Paul's in the room. Keefe and the Roys. I bet you're around too. Keefe, thanks for the name change, brother. I like that. Now I can put you up. Yeah, that's right. No Tim Tams, it equals cockroaches. Well, not quite cockroaches, but yeah, bugs. They put bugs in. It's ruined them. I mean, ruined the Tim Tam. What can I say? And if I'm pretty confident, you'd look in all Arnott's. Is it Arnott's that make them? Whatever the company is that makes biscuits. In fact, look at any company that makes biscuits. Look at the ingredients, figure out exactly what they are, because they don't call them the name of the bug. Oh, no, they give it some other little name. And they use it for colouring, believe it or not. Neville, Angela, hello, Zildon. Billy's in the house. I'm roboting. Oh, that can't be good, Billy. What's going on there? I haven't had any barbecue yet or any juicy pork ribs. None that I can share with you. And certainly, if the opportunity arises for me to find a pig and share it with you, Bill, then I'll do that. If there is a bit of pig to be had, you'll be the first man I call to share it with. And going north, not likely to find a pig on a spit. May find half a cow, but not likely to find a pig. But who knows? Never know. We might arrange something. Someone did suggest a Voice of Freedom. They had a much better name for it than I did. See, there you go. Better preparation. Somebody did have the idea of a Hungy-like experience for Voice of Freedom followers. And having been to the odd Hungy-like experience before, I can highly recommend the food. There are crabs involved. Very nice. Yes, Albanese is certainly governing for his corporate mates. Nothing could be truer than that, Rex. Hello, Veronique. I love that name, Veronique. Sunflower. Hello, gorgeous. Hope you are having a lovely evening. Hookstagram. Here we go. Into that. And Cabello. Yeah, you're right. The Durham report is 319 pages long. I haven't read them all yet, but I have read the executive summary, and that's what we'll get through tonight. I suppose we should probably get into that. There are a few things at the top of the executive summary that we should potentially highlight. He says, scrolling up just to see what I'm looking at. All right, so let me see if I can bring this up. And all things being equal, I might have to move that onto a different page. Excuse my head looking up. If I'm going to do the reading, I got to do the seeing as well. Now, can you guys see all that? No, it looks a bit big. There you go. All right. Might be easier if I just do that. There you go. This is the introduction, and it basically sets out the conditions under which the report was organised. The Special Counsel's investigation started in March 2019 with Robert S. Mueller III. It concluded then his investigation into the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. That investigation did not establish that any members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. On May 13, 2019, Attorney General Barr directed United States Attorney John Durham to conduct a preliminary review into certain matters related to the 2016 presidential election campaigns. And that review subsequently developed into a criminal investigation. The Attorney General appointed Mr. Durham as the Special Attorney to the Attorney General pursuant to that code. October 19, 2020, the Attorney General determined that in light of the extraordinary circumstances relating to these matters, the public interest warrants Mr. Durham continuing this investigation pursuant to the powers and independence afforded by the Special Counsel regulations outlined there, and these are a number of references. When Mr. Durham was asked to lead the review, he was serving as the United States Attorney for the District of Connecticut. Before May 2019, Durham had been asked by the Attorneys General of both major political parties, namely Janet Reno and Judge Michael Mukasey, Eric Holder and Senator Jeff Sessions, to conduct other sensitive investigations for the department. The letter for the Attorney General of the United States, John Durham, is, outlines his credentials, essentially. So let's scroll down here. I did highlight a couple of other little bits. These parts here, this outlines, this is an outline as to who they talked to, why they talked to them, what information they sought, what information they got, and in some cases, what they didn't get. And in fact, not in some cases, in quite a lot of cases, what they didn't get. The office, that's this investigation office, concluded its investigation into whether any federal official, employee, or any other person or entity violated the law in connection with intelligence, counterintelligence, or law enforcement activities directed at the 2016 presidential campaigns and individuals associated with those campaigns and individuals associated with the administration of Donald J. Trump. This report describes actions and events that the Special Counsel's Office found to be supported by the evidence collected by their investigation. There are also reasons why, in examining politically charged and high-profile issues such as these, the office must exercise and has exercised special care. It goes to outline how juries with strongly held views in courtrooms and criminal trials can hold their views and in turn affect the likelihood of obtaining a conviction, separate and apart from the strength of the actual evidence and despite the court's best efforts to impanel a fair and impartial jury. Second, even when prosecutors believe they can obtain a conviction, there are some instances in which it may not be advisable to expend government time and resources on a criminal prosecution, particularly where it would create the appearance, even if unfounded, that the government is seeking to criminalize the behavior of political opponents or punish the activities of a specific political party or campaign. So these are interesting terms. This is so they would not be persuaded away from prosecuting cases, justifiable cases, solely due to the popularity of the defendant or of the controversial nature of the government's case. They use the principles of federal prosecution, provide the following pertinent guidance on this point, which informs special counsel's charging and declination decisions. Declination is the people they investigated and declined to charge. Where the law and the facts create a sound prosecutable case, the likelihood of an acquittal due to unpopularity of some aspect of the prosecution, or because of the overwhelming popularity of the defendant or his or her cause, is not a factor prohibiting prosecution. And they give an example of a civil rights case involving an extremely popular political figure. It might be clear that the evidence of guilt, viewed objectively by an unbiased fact finder, would be sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction. Yet the prosecutor might reasonably doubt, based on circumstances, that the jury would convict. In such a case, despite his or her negative assessment of the likelihood of a guilty verdict, based on the factors extraneous to an objective view of the law and the facts, the prosecutor may properly conclude that it is necessary and appropriate to commence or recommend prosecution and allow the criminal process to operate in accordance with the principles set forth here. So that just outlines why they don't or aren't meant to play favourites. The decision of whether to bring criminal charges in any given matter thus is a complicated one that neither entirely subjective nor mechanic. If this report and the outcome of the special counsel's investigation leaves some with the impression that injustices or misconduct have gone unaddressed, it is not because the office concluded that no such injustices or misconduct occurred. It is, rather, because not every injustice or transgression amounts to a criminal offence, and criminal prosecutors are tasked exclusively with investigating and prosecuting violations of US criminal laws. Both Attorneys General Barr and Garland being the current one, have stated that one of their most important priorities is to ensure the proper functioning and administration of federal law by government agencies. Indeed, the first goal of the department's current strategic plan is to uphold the rule of law. And there is a quote from the department's own thing. All right, so the executive summary will give us a bit of a wrap up of everything that's described in the rest of the 314 pages, I guess, that, or maybe 300 pages to the left. The public record contains a substantial body of information relating to former President Trump and the Trump Organization's relationships with Russian businesses, Russian business people, and Russian officials, as well as separate evidence of Russia's attempts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. These and related subjects are well documented in the careful examinations undertaken by 1. The Department's Office of the Inspector General of issues related to the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane investigation and its use of Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, that's the FISA, authorities. 2. The former FBI Director Robert Mueller, as detailed in his report entitled Report on the Investigation, you know the report. 3. The Senate Select Committee on Intelligence entitled Russian Active Measures, Campaigns and Interference in the 2016 US election. The scope of these earlier inquiries, the amount of important information gathered, and the contributions they have made to our understanding of Russian election interference efforts are a tribute to the diligent work and dedication of those charged with the responsibility of conducting them. Our review and investigation, in turn, has focused on separate but related questions, including the following. Was there adequate predication for the FBI to open the Crossfire Hurricane investigation from its inception on July 31, 2016, as a full counterintelligence and foreign affairs, I'll get down there, operation? Under the Registration Act, the FARA Registration Act, investigation given the requirements of the Attorney General's guidelines for FBI domestic operations and FBI policies relating to the use of the least intrusive investigative tools necessary. Was the opening of Crossfire Hurricane as a full investigation on July 31 consistent with how the FBI handled other intelligence it had received prior to July 31, 2016, concerning attempts by foreign interests to influence the Clinton and other campaigns? Similarly, did the FBI properly consider other highly significant intelligence it received at virtually the same time as that used to predicate Crossfire Hurricane, but which related not to the Trump campaign, but rather to a purported Clinton campaign plan to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by Russian security services, which might have shed light on some of the Russian information the FBI was receiving from third parties, including the Steele dossier, the Alpha Bank allegations, and the confidential human sources, CHS, reporting. If not, were any provable federal crimes committed in failing to do so? Now, that's a key line. If not, were any provable federal crimes committed in failing to do so? Because it puts the heat back on those who did the investigations of all the things in the Robert Mueller investigation. And this is essentially investigating the investigators. It sounded pretty good because they were. I'll keep going. Was there evidence that actions by any of the FBI personnel or third parties related to the Crossfire Hurricane investigation violated any federal criminal statutes, including the prohibition against making false statements to federal officials? That is a very serious crime. If so, was that evidence sufficient to prove guilt beyond reasonable doubt? Another good one. Was there evidence that the actions of the FBI or department personnel in providing false or incomplete information to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, that's the FISIC court, violate any federal criminal statutes? If so, was there evidence sufficient to prove guilt beyond reasonable doubt? If you see here, they are talking in past tense. If so, was there evidence sufficient to prove? That indicates to me that once it turned into a criminal investigation, there have been criminal trials. Just speaking in past tense, that's all. Our findings and conclusions regarding these and related questions are sobering. That is a really interesting word for an Attorney General to use in a report. Our findings and conclusions regarding these and related questions are sobering. State of intelligence community information regarding Trump and Russia prior to the opening of Crossfire Hurricane. As set forth in greater detail in Section 4A3B before the initial receipt by FBI headquarters of information from Australia on July 28, 2016, concerning comments reportedly made in a tavern on May 6, 2016 by George Papadopoulos, an unpaid foreign policy advisor to the Trump campaign, the government possessed no verified intelligence reflecting that Trump or the Trump campaign was involved in a conspiracy or collaborative relationship with officials of the Russian government. Indeed, based on the evidence gathered in the multiple, exhaustive, and costly federal investigations of these matters, including the instant investigation, neither US law enforcement nor the intelligence community appears to have possessed any actual evidence of collusion in their holdings at the commencement of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. Understand that. Nobody had any verifiable evidence in their hand that there was any wrongdoing of any kind. And yet the full power of the FBI was thrown behind the commencement of Crossfire Hurricane. Interesting choice for a name of an operation, Crossfire Hurricane. Bob Dylan sings a song, Hurricane, about a boxer who was falsely found guilty, set up basically, a black guy. Spent, I think, 38 years in jail and was finally released when they found him. He'd been wrongfully committed or wrongfully found guilty. Thankfully, the death penalty wasn't given to him. It was commuted to life. And after 38 years, he got out. That's what Hurricane's all about. He was a great boxer. He could have been a world champion, but coming home one night, 3 police got him, I think it was, and framed him. There is also a reference to Crossfire in that song. Also, you can look at Crossfire Hurricane as a start of a very famous Rolling Stones lyric written by Keith Richards. I was born in a crossfire hurricane. I'll sing it better at karaoke, I promise. What is a crossfire hurricane? Well, according to Keith Richards, he was born in the middle of the Blitz of London. So a crossfire hurricane would be apt, I would have thought, if you were born in the middle of the London Blitz during World War II. A very apt thing. So just have a bit of a think about the connotations for both of those. Try and do a little research on Crossfire Hurricane and ask yourself why the FBI would call their investigation that, given that the hurricane thing was a huge FBI setup, or at least a legal setup. And anyway, I might be just surmising. Let's keep it going. Let me have a mouthful of something before we go. The opening of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. As set forth in much greater detail in Section 4, the record of this matter reflects that upon receipt of unevaluated intelligence information from Australia, the FBI swiftly opened the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. In particular, at the direction of Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, Deputy Assistant Director for Counterintelligence Peter Stock opened Crossfire Hurricane immediately, Strzok, at a minimum, had pronounced hostile feelings towards Trump. Notice it had. The matter was opened as a full investigation without ever having spoken to the persons who provided the information. Further, the FBI did so without, one, any significant review of its own intelligence databases. Two, collection and examination of any relevant intelligence from other US intelligence entities. Three, interviews of witnesses essential to understand the raw information it had received. Or four, using any of the standard analytical tools typically employed by the FBI in evaluating raw intelligence. Had it done so, again, as set out in Section 4A3B and C, the FBI would have learned that their own experienced Russia analysts had no information about Trump being involved with Russian leadership, officials, or others in sensitive positions at the CIA, the NSA, and the Department of State aware of such evidence concerning the subject. So, nor were others in sensitive positions at the CIA, the NSA, and the Department of State aware of such evidence concerning the subject. I mean, unbelievable. In addition, the FBI records prepared by Strzok in February and March show that at the time of the opening of Crossfire Hurricane, the FBI had no information in its holdings indicating that at any time during the campaign, anyone in the Trump campaign had been in contact with any Russian intelligence officials. Nobody at the FBI had any information either. The speed and manner in which the FBI opened and investigated Crossfire Hurricane during the presidential election season, based on raw, unanalyzed, I'm going to highlight that, raw, unanalyzed, and uncorroborated intelligence, also reflected a noticeable departure from how it approached prior matters involving possible attempted foreign election interference plans aimed at the Clinton campaign. As described in Section 4B, in the 18 months leading up to the 2016 election, the FBI was required to deal with a number of proposed investigations that had the potential of affecting the election. In each of those instances, the FBI moved with considerable caution. In one such matter, discussed in Section 4B1, FBI headquarters and department officials required defensive briefings to be provided to Clinton and other officials or candidates who appeared to be the targets of foreign interference. In another, the FBI elected to end an investigation after one of its longtime and valuable CHS, that's confidential human source, went beyond what was authorized and made an improper, they're just the references, and possibly illegal financial contribution to the Clinton campaign on behalf of a foreign entity as a precursor to a much larger donation being contemplated. And in a third, the Clinton Foundation matter, both senior FBI and department officials placed restrictions on how those matters were to be handled, such that essentially no investigative activities occurred for months leading up to the election. The examples are also markedly different from the FBI's actions with respect to other highly significant intelligence it received from a trusted foreign source pointing to a Clinton campaign plan to vilify Trump by tying him to Vladimir Putin so as to divert attention from her own concerns relating to her use of the private email server. So she was worried that she was going to get nailed with that private email server, as she should have. And so that's where the Trump campaign came from. Unlike the FBI's opening of a full investigation of unknown members of the Trump campaign based on raw, uncorroborated information, in this separate matter involving a purported Clinton campaign plan, the FBI never opened any type of inquiry, issued any taskings, employed any analytical personnel, or produced any analytical products in connection with the information. They never opened any type of inquiry against Clinton, never issued any taskings to any agent to go and look into anything. They never employed any analytical personnel or any of the tools that they can use to inquire. This lack of action was despite the fact that the significance of the Clinton plan intelligence was such as to have been prompted the director of the CIA to brief the president, the vice president, the attorney general, the director of the FBI, and other senior government officials about its content within days of its receipt. That's how important it was. They went and told the president, the vice president, everybody else. It was also It was also of enough importance for the CIA to send a formal written referral memorandum to Director Comey, watch that name, kids, and the Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI's Counterintelligence Division, Peter Strzok, for their consideration and action. The investigation referral provided examples of information the Crossfire Hurricane Fusion Cell had, in inverted commas, gleaned to date. The Crossfire Hurricane investigation. Within days after opening Crossfire Hurricane, the FBI opened full investigations on 4 members of the Trump campaign team: George Papadopoulos, Carter Page, Paul Manafort, and Michael Flynn. No defensive briefing was provided to Trump. Remember that defensive briefing bit I highlighted earlier? Utter bastards. So, no defensive briefing. If you don't know what a defensive briefing is, that's where they come and tell you that they're looking at you. They come and show you what the evidence they have against you is, and they allow you to start considering how you might defend yourself against such evidence. So that's what happened with Clinton and her team. They gave defensive briefings all the time. And and then for Trump, no such thing. No defensive briefings were provided to Trump or anyone in the campaign. Utter bastards. I want to get the right thing to highlight that. Sorry. Let me just move that to the appropriate point. Get there, bugger. Okay. So no defensive briefings were provided to Trump or anyone in the campaign concerning the information received from Australia that suggested there might be some sort of collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians. It was not received either prior to or after these investigations were open. Instead, the FBI began working on requests for the use of Pfizer authorities against Page and Papadopoulos. The effort is related to Papadopoulos, proved unsuccessful. Similarly, the initial effort directed at Page was unsuccessful until the Crossfire Hurricane investigators first obtained what were designated as company intelligence reports generated by Christopher Steele. As set forth in Section 4D, 1B, 2 and 3 in the brief below, the Steele reports were first provided to the FBI in early July 2016, but for unexplained reasons, only made their way to the Crossfire Hurricane investigators in mid-September. For unexplained reasons, only made their way. I can't believe that. Wow. The reports were extensively assembled based on information provided to Steele and his company by primary subsource. The FBI eventually determined to be, in December, was Igor Danchenko. Now, Durham's investigation determined Crossfire Hurricane investigators did not and could not corroborate any of the substantive allegations contained in the Steele reporting. All right? Remember how everybody was all head up about the Steele dossier? This was the bit that contained Trump pissing on the Ritz-Carlton bed, I think it was. Nor was Steele able to produce corroboration of any of the reported allegations, even after being offered $1 million by the FBI for said corroboration. How's that? So the FBI offered to pay Steele another $1 million if he could prove what he had in his own dossier, and he was unable. Further, when interviewed by the FBI in January 2017, Danchenko was also unable to corroborate any of the substantive allegations in the reports. Rather, Danchenko characterized the information he provided to Steele as rumor and speculation and the product of casual conversation. Section 4D1H describes other efforts undertaken by the Crossfire Hurricane investigators working on the Page Pfizer application. Those efforts including having human sources record conversations with Page, Papadopoulos, and senior Trump foreign advisor, policy advisor. The FBI's own records and the recordings established that Page made multiple exculpatory statements to the individual identified as CHS-1, but the Crossfire Hurricane investigators failed to make that information known to the department's attorney or to the intelligence court. Page also made explicit statements refuting allegations contained in the Steele reporting about his lack of any relationship with Paul Manafort. So see that? Page made explicit statements refuting allegations contained in the Steele reporting about his lack of any relationship with Paul Manafort. But the FBI failed to follow logical investigative leads related to those statements and to report to the department lawyers what they found. Failed again to bother investigating that, failed to report any mention of it. Similarly, multiple recordings of Papadopoulos were made by CHS-1, and a second intel source in which Papadopoulos also made multiple exculpatory statements that were not brought to the attention of the department lawyers or to the court. Furthermore, their investigation resulted in the prosecution and conviction of an FBI OGC attorney for intentionally falsifying a document that was material to the intelligence court's consideration of one of the Page Pfizer applications. Now, this is where they break down the Steele dossier. In the spring of 2016, Perkins Coie, a US-based international law firm acting as counsel to the Clinton campaign, retained Fusion GPS, a US-based investigative firm, to conduct, let's get into the pages, opposition research on Trump and his associates. In mid-May 2016, Glenn Simpson of Fusion GPS met with Steele in the United Kingdom and subsequently retained Steele and his firm, Orbis Business Intelligence, to investigate Trump's ties to Russia. Steele described himself as a former intelligence official for the British government and was also, at the time, an FBI intel source, human intel source. Beginning in July 2016 and continuing through December 2016, the FBI received a series of reports from Steele and Orbis that contained derogatory information about Trump concerning Trump's purported ties to Russia. As discussed in Section 4D, 1B, and 2, Steele provided the first of his reports to his FBI handler on the 5th of July. These reports were colloquially referred to as the Steele dossier or Steele reports. As noted, it was not until mid-September that within days of their receipt, the unvetted and unverified Steele reports were used to support probable cause in the FBI's Pfizer applications targeting Page, a US citizen who for a period of time had been an advisor to Trump. As discussed later in the report, this was done at a time when the FBI knew that the same information Steele had provided to the FBI had been fed to the media and others in Washington, D.C. Interesting. In particular, one allegation contained in the updated Steele report identified as, whatever it is, described a well-developed conspiracy of cooperation between Trump, his campaign, and senior Russian officials. This allegation would ultimately underpin the 4 Pfizer applications targeting Page. Specifically, the allegation stated, speaking in confidence to a compatriot in late July 2016, Source E, an ethnic Russian, close associate of Republican US presidential candidate Donald Trump, admitted that there was a well-developed conspiracy of cooperation between them and the Russian leadership. This was managed on the Trump side by the Republican candidate's campaign manager, Paul Manafort, who was using foreign policy advisor Carter Page and others as intermediaries. The two sides had a mutual interest in defeating Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, whom President Putin apparently both hated and feared. This goes down to show the references for the apparent truths here. As noted, the FBI attempted over time to investigate and analyze the Steele documents, but ultimately was not able to confirm or corroborate any of the substantive allegations contained in those reports. In the context of those reports, and as discussed in sections 4D, 1B, 9, and 10, The FBI learned that Steele relied primarily on the US-based Russian national Danchenko to collect information that ultimately formed the core allegations found in the reports. Specifically, Durham's investigation discovered that Danchenko himself had told another person that he, Danchenko, was responsible for 80% of the intel and 50% of the analysis contained in the Steele dossier. In December 2016, the FBI identified Danchenko as Steele's primary subsource. Danchenko agreed to meet with the FBI, and under protection of an immunity letter, he and his attorney met with the Crossfire Hurricane investigators January 24, 25, and 26 of 2017. Thereafter, from January 2017 through to October 2020, he, as part of its efforts to determine the truth or falsity of specific information in the Steele reports, the FBI conducted multiple interviews of Danchenko regarding, among other things, the information he provided to Steele. As discussed in Section 5D1B9, during these interviews, Danchenko was unable to provide any corroborating evidence to support the Steele allegations, and further described his interactions with his subsources as rumor and speculation and conversations of a casual nature. Significant parts of what Danchenko told the FBI were inconsistent with what Steele told the FBI during his prior interviews in October 2016 and September 2017. At no time, however, was the intelligence court informed of these inconsistencies. Moreover, notwithstanding the repeated assertions in the Page Pfizer applications that Steele's primary subsource was based in Russia, okay, we heard there before, obviously he was based in, he wasn't just based in America. Danchenko for many years had lived in Washington, D.C. After learning that Danchenko continued to live in the Washington area and had not left except for domestic and foreign travel, the FBI never corrected this assertion in the 3 subsequent Page Pfizer renewal applications. Rather, beginning in March 2017, the FBI engaged Danchenko as a human intelligence source and began making regular financial payments to him for information, none of which corroborated Steele's reporting. So the entire Steele report is broken down. Unresolved prior FBI counterintelligence investigation into Danchenko. This is where you discover, I don't know, I'm probably going on and on and on. You don't necessarily want to hear me droning on. I've been going on for 45 minutes. So I can tell you, and I think Vince is in the chat. So Vince, I did load up the link that you sent me. If that's not a public link, can we load this up on the Voice of Freedom website so people can download it if you have a desire? And obviously Camillo is one of those that does have a desire to get in and read it, then please do. But I can tell you there is I've read all of this. The FBI's failures are pointed out in significant detail. The links between the intelligence services, all of them are brought here. This guy, Sergei Milan, this is an interesting bit. Perhaps the most damning allegation in the Steele dossier reports was Company Report 2695, which Steele attributed to Source E, one of Danchenko's supposed subsources. This report, portions of which were included in each of the 4-page Pfizer applications, contribute to the public narrative of Trump's conspiring and colluding with Russian officials. As discussed in that section, Danchenko's alleged source of the information, Source E, was an individual by the name of Sergei Milan, who was the president of the Russian-American Chamber of Commerce in New York City and a public Trump supporter. The evidence uncovered by the office showed that Danchenko never spoke with Sergei Milan and simply fabricated the allegations that he attributed to him. There you go. FBI should have found this out very early on. When interviewed by Crossfire Hurricane Investigations in late January 2017, Danchenko said the Source E sounded as though it was Sergei Milan. As discussed in the section, Danchenko stated that he never actually met, I'm going to call him Milan, Instead, he said that in late July 2016, he received an anonymous call from a person who did not identify himself, but who spoke with a Russian accent. Danchenko further explained that he thought it might have been Melaine, someone Danchenko previously had emailed twice and received no response. After watching a YouTube video of Melaine speaking, that's why he thought it was this bloke. Wow. No investigation from the FBI. Thus, as detailed in that section, the total support of the Saucy informant contained in the Steele report is a purported anonymous call from someone Danchenko had never met or spoken to, but who he believed might be Sergei Melaine, a Trump supporter, based on his listening to a YouTube video of Melaine. Unfortunately, the investigation revealed that instead of taking even basic steps, such as securing telephone call records for either Danchenko or Melaine to investigate Danchenko's hard-to-believe story about Melaine, the Crossfire Hurricane investigators appeared to have chosen to ignore this and other red flags concerning Danchenko's credibility, as well as Steele's. The Alpha Bank allegations. Do you remember all those ones? Look, there's a heap of fun in there. It is interesting, very, very interesting reading, and you might wonder what is down towards the end. Well, to be honest, this is the first time I've scanned down and try and find what section we're at here. We're at page 174, so we're not even halfway through it. So we just happened to pull up at a Danchenko bit. Instead, Danchenko told the FBI that the damaging allegations contained in the Steele report stemmed from a single telephone call from the anonymous individual he believed to be. God, how'd I fluke that? The office did not find any evidence or uncover any motive that would explain why Melaine, a vocal Trump supporter, would call a complete stranger and provide damaging information about Trump. It's a little hard to believe. In any event, so this is showing what the Durham investigators found, the evidence obtained by the office. The evidence obtained by the office shows that Danchenko, in fact, never received a phone call or any information from Melaine, and Danchenko never made arrangements to meet with Melaine in New York. Rather, the evidence demonstrates that Danchenko fabricated these facts regarding Melaine. Indeed, a review of the emails sent by Danchenko to Melaine in the summer of 2016 support this conclusion. The same emails Danchenko failed to provide the FBI when interviewed regarding Melaine. Those emails are described below. So there they are. They list all that. So they've got all the information. And how did I just fluke it? It happened to pull up on the same bit. Let's scan down and see what's back down here towards the end. Sussman, Michael Sussman. I've skipped over it, but Michael Sussman is he's a piece of work. They've got him by the short and curlies, and I fully believe that people have been tried already, folks. I really do think that many of them are have already gone through the system. Sussman particularly is guilty of a whole heap of different things. And when you look at what other avenues were available to the Durham team once it became a criminal investigation, the higher ups, the Hillary Clintons of the world, the Obamas of the world, have had people working in and investigating them now for quite, a long time. And I can't wait to go through this properly and find out whether or not there are indications of trials or trial outcomes or even arrests that have been held under seal, because that's what they would do. And this whole investigation was done under seal, so nobody could talk about it. We know that the indictments are coming out, and there were some 300,000 sealed indictments just in the American bureaucracy, I believe. So, hell of a deal. But yeah, Sussman, it does give it away a little bit. You're 100% on that, JJ. So yeah, Sussman was involved with the Alpha Bank, and that was a hell hell of a story, which is all explained in this document, the Durham files. If you don't have a copy of it or you can't get it, it should be at vof.com, vofhq.com/durhamreport.pdf. I'm hoping that Vince has got it up. If not, we'll put it up maybe under the criminal trial tab, Vince, or stick it up on the front page if that's what you're interested in doing there too. All right, so I'll let you all go. It is a little chilly, and I've been going nearly an hour. So tomorrow night, I might hang on to that just for a minute because I haven't confirmed exactly what's going to happen tomorrow night. Thursday night, 7:30 Thursday night, not 6:30. I might have a 6:30 show yet. We'll just see what happens. There could be a lot of interesting news coming out, and if that's the case, we'll probably want to discuss a little bit of that. I would encourage you to, if you are a reader, go and download the Durham report and give it a good look. It's not hard to read. It's not legalese. It is heavy reading, but it's not legalese. And boy, does it it pulls no punches. I'm just having a look at the way that the Alpha Bank story leads or was run in connection with a New York Times article where they were threatening to release, and that was all about Hillary Clinton's email server. So the links are like a twisted octopus's arm in this thing, but it looks like Durham has really laid it out, and laid it out in absolutely minute detail, even down to the emails. I'm just scanning down. They can give you the reference numbers, and those will all be government reference numbers. You'll be able to go and type those into a government website, and the document will come up in front of you. Yeah, so yeah, they've got Sussman. I would say he's been singing like a bird for some time, and wow. All right, I'll try and get down to the end and see what's down the back. Hopefully it'll just be a blank page. But yeah, we'll hopefully have that up on the Voice of Freedom website. That's where it should be, folks. And if you are a reader, by all means, we would love to see you in there. Oh, look, I've landed on something called possible. Let me bring this up for you. You'll get a giggle out of it. Before I go, possible FBI reform. One possible way to provide additional scrutiny of politically sensitive investigations would be to identify in advance an official who's responsible for challenging the steps taken in the investigation. Stuart Baker proposes having a career position for a non-partisan FBI agent or lawyer to challenge the Pfizer application and every other stage of the investigation. This would be done in investigations that pose partisan risk. In Baker's view, the Attorney General, through the Supplemental Reforms Memorandum, has already taken a good step in this direction by requiring that politically sensitive surveillance and search applications be reviewed by a special agent from a field office not involved in the investigation. Similarly, Adam Klein has said the DOJ and the FBI leaders should consider whether the regularized practice of internal red teaming in the most sensitive cases, whether within the FBI or in collaboration with attorneys at the National Security Division, could serve as an effective check on confirmation bias without unduly delaying time-sensitive applications. Well, yeah. As a way to ensure full consideration of the issues in applications that may present very difficult and vitally important issues, we recommend that the department seriously consider Baker's proposal for an official to challenge both a politically sensitive Pfizer application and other stages of the investigation. Nothing, former Attorney General Levi warned, can more weaken the quality of life or more imperil the realization of the goals we all hold dear than our failure to make clear by words and deed that our law is not the instrument of partisan purpose. That is worth highlighting. So, worth reading, folks. The Durham report. It's probably going to be one of the most significant documents in history, I suspect. And hopefully you can get it off vofhq.com, where you can also become a member. Be a member, because we're going to give you some good prizes soon. A bit of silver and possibly, might try and get rid of the gold stuff to give away. But you'll only get it if you are a member. You can get a membership from as little as $1.25 a week. If you would prefer to donate, that would be great. You can do that too. There's a donate button there on the website. Vince will be happy that I mentioned it. Vince and I will be having a bit of a conversation. Last night, I mentioned when we came on that I'd only just received information from Cooker Watch that QSI was being exposed as a scam around the world. Now, today I was scheduled to do a QSI lesson, as we've been calling them, with Jane and Jim from QSI. I did speak to Jane this morning, and I gave her the option whether or not we would play the game or not. And I've said that I would prefer not to tonight because she doesn't have enough answers for me yet. That's probably the best way of describing it. And I think she was as shocked as I was when confronted with some of the things that were being said. Not all of the information that's been provided to me do I necessarily agree with. And if you look into a couple of the people involved, you might be very surprised to learn where they and who they align with. And Khazarian is a word that's been mentioned and can be backed up. So I'd be a little careful about believing everything that is being shown around. However, it is quite clear, and Vince and I have been, I think, told Jane today, I'll be open and honest with you guys. Vince and I have been playing a good guy, bad guy game. I'm the dumb and stupid one, and I play that really, really well because I am dumb and stupid when it comes to this stuff. Do not understand it at all. Vince is the smart guy in all of this, and Vince can identify a scam, or at least can identify things that are standing out that could be a possibility of a scam. I don't know what I don't know, so I would be unable to identify a scam even if I wanted to, and I do want to. So I explained that to Jane today. You will go back through our QSI lessons. You'll find that we did bring them up quite specifically, some of the assets that were being offered on the or through the QSI pages, and we brought them up, and they said scam across the top. There's plenty of warning there. If I was operating a business that trusted that sort of thing, and somebody had somehow been able to slam a scam label on it, I'd be working my ass to get that scam label off. I wouldn't be just moving on to the next one. So there are a few things that have always smelled a bit funny about it, but it seems that others have been able to expose a bit more. What have they been able to expose? I really don't know yet. I haven't done enough investigation, but Vince certainly has had his head down and into it, and I will be talking with him. And I think it's safe to say that tomorrow night I'll have Vince on the show, and we will have a bit of a conversation. Certainly, the offer is open to anybody from QSI, Jane or Jim, if they want to come on, and we will we'll talk about it. But it is important to say that XRP and XLM are real. There is no Stellar is real. There is nothing funny going on there. It's more about the assets, people are being encouraged to spend their money on. And in fact, that many people woke up this morning with their wallets emptied somehow. Some that have been involved in, some pretty big QSI assets. And for some reason it had been able to have their wallets not hacked because it was, an easy access thing. So we're trying to find out more about that and who was affected. I know 2 people claiming to be affected. So they are long-time crypto people too, not people who've just, got onto it recently. So, we're doing some investigations in on that. And I would like to thank Cooker Watch for almost being nice to me. I do appreciate the heads up for it yesterday, though. I only saw it just before I went to air, and I really don't know how long ago she'd sent it, but I do appreciate it. And maybe we haven't been on the opposite sides all along. You never know. You do have some pretty radical ideas, and you're very strange. I'm not holding hope out of any great conversation, although I did catch the end of an email that said you would be willing to come on and talk about all of this. So that I would be willing to entertain. We will talk more. Certainly, very interested to learn more. Not interested in attacking people. Not interested in vilifying. Just want the facts, ma'am, as the old TV show used to say, and very happy to make sure that they're being told. Yeah, Stella is real. Keep buying precious metal. Yeah. Well, as I've always said, folks, I haven't put not 1 cent of my money, and I call it my money, but it's essentially your money because I live off whatever I get donated. I don't have a job. I don't get paid from other sources. So whatever you guys ordain to give me is what I get to live off. And I am grateful for every piece of it. Would I take your money and do this to it? Would I invest it in crypto? No, I would not. I would no more take your money and invest in crypto than I would take it to the local club and stick $20 in a poker machine. I wouldn't do that. Thankfully, I'm not a gambler. I'm not a drinker anymore. And I like to think I've got a few more bits of sense about me. Yeah, I do have 1 or 2 things that I do buy. Cigarettes is obviously one of them, which I shouldn't. But for the most part, and in every real sense, I won't spend your money on wasteful things like that. Okay, you might shout me and a couple of people a beer occasionally, but that will only be because I'm having a meeting somewhere. Or I need to stay overnight somewhere, or we need a bit of fuel to get somewhere. But that's what it gets used for. I'm not living the high life. I haven't got a new jet ski. I'd only fall off it and drown if I had one, or it'd hit me in the head. And while there might be some people wishing for that to happen, I don't want that to happen. Now, I just want to have a bit of a glance down here. Is Sandy in the room? Sandy, are you in here tonight? I'll just try and scan down and see if I can see your name in anything. Down is probably not the place to go. It might be up. I just want people to know Sandy, who is in our room, well, almost every other night, if not every night, and her other half, Baz. Oh, that might be Baz saying night all. Have I talked too long? Sandy and Baz are 2 of the most magnificent people, and I can't find them in there, so they may not be here tonight. So without her permission, I'm going to end the show with something beautiful from Sandy. I just want to wrap up by saying Rockhampton, Rockhampton, Rockhampton. This Saturday, John Wilson and a whole bunch of other people standing on a stage talking loudly, broadly, and greatly about our freedom. And I think about a lot of corruption that's going on in central Queensland and other places. It's a worldwide rally this weekend, and Rocky is playing its part. We're going to go and play part 2. I'm really looking forward to coming up to Rocky. I haven't had the opportunity to really stay in Rockhampton for any length of time in 30 years, nearly. Probably 25, 20, and probably would be nearly 30 years. So I'm really looking forward to checking out Rocky. So we're arriving Friday, going to be there Saturday, and heading off sometime Sunday night. We'll be having lunch, well, not lunch maybe, might be having dinner in a pub somewhere in Rocky on Friday night. I'll let you know where that'll be if you want to come along and have a beer with us and catch up. I might even run a bit of a show from there, and we'll catch up with a few locals if you're interested. Love to have you along. So come and be part of it in Rocky. I'll let you know where and when. But the big place to be will be the Gardens on Saturday for the event. That gets underway at, 11:30 is the Forest of the Fallen. So if you haven't been to a Forest of the Fallen yet, then please come along to the one in Rocky and meet us there. Forest of the Fallen are happening every weekend right across Australia. This one's going to be a very, very big one. I was only talking to Darren Bergworth earlier today, and he was telling me that the girls that arranged the one down on the peninsula, down from Melbourne last weekend or a couple of weeks ago, will be at the Frankston event this Saturday. So the Forest of the Fallen will happen there. If you haven't been to a Forest of the Fallen event, please go and pay your respects. It is a wonderful way of really showing the true horror and the true human cost of what these bastards have done to us, and for which those bastards must be held accountable. They must be held accountable. Hold the line, Sudsy. Absolutely. Hold the line. We are holding the line, folks. We're not going to let the bastard break. We will fight, fight, fight. Still there, Baz? All right, beautiful. Pleased to hear it. Right, and I'm guessing you're the Baz that I think you are. So I'm going to end the night. Baz and Sandy have a donkey sanctuary. Now, at any one time, they might have 30 to 100 donkeys on their property, sometimes more. They have had up to 300, I think, at the donkeys on there at one stage. Now, if you happen to have property and you wouldn't mind the idea of a donkey, I know recently I've been able to hook up 4 donkeys with their new forever home. And if you are interested, I see myself as a donkey matchmaker. Now, if you need a little help wondering whether or not you ever want a donkey, you just got to think something cute. Really, really cute. They do like to come in pairs because donkeys mate for life. They have a husband/wife, if you like, a relationship for life, and it can be very difficult when one dies. So there is a bit of science behind donkey adoption. You have to be the right kind of person. Now, if you would like to see what the right kind of person needs to look like, this is what the right kind of person needs to look like. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the lovely Sandy, and there's some strange woman holding her face. No, I'm sorry. The strange woman holding the face is Sandy. The face she is holding, I think, is May or Mai. It may not be, because I want to think May was white. But anyway, baby donkeys might be born that way. But anyway, if you want a donkey, you can produce little donkeys. How bloody cute are that? Of course, donkeys need feeding too. And if you would like to help out the donkey sanctuary with a bale of hay, a big round of hay, I don't know what they call those, a mountain of hay. Used to be bales in my day, and big round bales. Yeah, there you go, round baler. So they're not terribly expensive, but I can hook you up with Sandy and other carers around the country who are in need of help at the moment. Victoria is being overrun at the moment. Jacqueline, how are you? Hope you're doing okay. One of the problems with animal carers are having, and while the donkey sanctuary is a named donkey sanctuary, they will help in any situation. It doesn't really matter what kind of animal. They have enough area so that everybody gets their own bit, and no fights should ensure. So whether it's horses, elephants, giraffes, I think Baz would be quite up for a lion or a tiger if you've got one of those. Not up for a crocodile. But cats, dogs, you name it, they'll come. Although not cat people. These these two people will tell you they are not cat people, right? And now they have a cat. How did they get the cat? They pulled up on the side of the road after coming up to Queensland to collect 2 abandoned donkeys. And they pulled up on the side of the road to get the donkeys out of the trailer and give them a bit of a walk around and stretch their legs, as you do. And they heard this pitiful little meowing noise. And so after 10 or 15 minutes of hunting around, Sandy found a tiny, tiny, tiny weeks-old kitten that had been abandoned. And they looked around for another, I want to say it was 3 hours. She and Baz bashed around in that grass up and down the side of the road looking for more. For people who don't like cats. Then they took the one that they did find, and she sat on the lap of whoever wasn't driving, curled up, wrapped up, all the way back home, some good kilometre drive, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kilometre drive. And from that day on, has not left Sandy and Baz's side. For people who don't like cats, just saying, bit weird. They're into leather work. So is the cat. Cat wears a collar. Collar has a leash. Cat walks on the leash. Quite insane. Just amazed. Wonderful people. And if you can help them out, buy a bale of hay, tin of cat food, whatever it happens to be, I can hook you up. And if you do have a bit of land and you like the idea of having some very lovable companions on it, they are very, very good guard dogs, believe it or not. Donkeys are very, very good. And somebody is telling me they're good for snakes, good at keeping the snakes away. I don't know if that's the truth or not. Got no idea if there's any truth in that at all. In fact, Baz, if you're still there, I'm going to flick back to the comments very quickly, and you can tell me whether or not there's any truth in that at all. I'll scroll down the bottom so I can see the next comment that comes through. So yeah, Baz and Sandy, wonderful folks. For people who don't like cats, who'd stand on the side of the road, not sure if it was wet, but make be good if it were good for the story if it was. But yeah, they hunted around for 3 hours looking for more kittens that had been around. Oh, wrong Baz, Carl. Sorry, Sandy. Well, at least you're there. You've been all bloody quiet. There you go. I was watching down the end. Thank you, sweetheart. So, yeah, how's the cat going? I've forgotten her name. So I want to say it starts with S, but there you go. Wrong Baz, but thanks for being with us, Baz, all the same. So yeah, if you can help Sandy out, great. If you can take a donkey, I'm not sure how many she has at the moment. Angel, there you go, starts with S. I was right. Angel is the name of the adopted kitten on the side of the road from the cat haters who love donkeys. They're laughing really hard now, I hope. Baz is much bigger than me and has a gun. Just saying. Yeah, if you are hearing of people who are having trouble, and let's face it, there are a lot of people passing away at the moment or going into care because of unforeseen complications and dying suddenly. Unfortunately, the animals that they had aren't doing the same thing. And in a lot of cases, the families who are left aren't in a position to take those animals. So it's being left to carers like Sandy and Baz and Jacqueline and Victoria and others all over the country to pick up the slack. And I know Jacqueline, last time I spoke to her at least, was really under pressure down there with arrivals particularly. And in Victoria, a lot of horses, a lot of pigs, a lot of people keeping pet pigs in Victoria. Yeah, so they need somewhere to go, preferably not, the abattoir. And that would certainly not happen with the donkeys, can I tell you? Oh, listen, just a word to the wise. Thanks, Sandy. A word to the wise. If you are Chinese, you need not apply for a donkey. I'm sorry. You might be a great person. We may love you. You might do wonderful cultural things. But unfortunately, the Chinese have found a way that they like to extract something from the donkey, something that you, me, and most other civilized human beings would have no need of, let alone a desire to go and get. And it involves a gel-like substance that is under a donkey's skin. And, of course, that gel-like substance isn't any good if the donkey is dead when you try and extract it. So they skin the donkey and extract this gel while the donkeys are alive. Yeah. So no sales to do Chinese folks for whatever kind of fucking evil potion you're going to drill up out of that shit. So sounds to me like you need the same cute picture to make you feel good again now. That is why we don't. That's just beautiful. Stunning little donkey. Stunning little donkey. And And look, Sandy's not too bad either, just between you, me, and the gatepost. You don't want to say too much. Baz is in the room, and he does love me at the moment, currently, apparently. So we won't upset him too much. Let me know if you want to help out, and I can hook you up with them, and you can help them out direct. Firewood season's busy, says Stephen Ross. Getting a cold, yeah. Well, yeah, tell me about it. No, I'm living in Queensland. I've got the bloody hoodie jacket on tonight. In fact, I've had the hoodie jacket on all friggin' day. It's no fun at all. Ah, that's Little Baz. Ah, right. So I wasn't sure if it was May May because I thought May May was white. You're gonna have to send me some pictures of Little May May. But yeah, Little Baz. So very cute donkeys, very cute, and very little donkeys. There are bigger donkeys, much older donkeys, and if you are considering taking me up on the donkey offer, if you're going to get into donkey adoption, you need to understand a few things. They come in pairs, and they do live a while. And when I say a while, they can live to 70 or something like that. You know, some rather extraordinary age. So depending on your age, you know, be aware of what age donkey you're getting. Hopefully have one that's sort of going to live, not outlive you. That might be the best way of putting it. That would be much easier than having to find another donkey sanctuary to send off to after you shuffle off, if you get what I mean. Am I being too direct? Sorry about that. All right. Having a bit of a lot in for questions. Yes, you can. Steve, you definitely can. And I can tell you Baz treats his animals pretty bloody well. He treats his friends pretty well too, can I just say that? But yeah, you get two fabulous people there doing that. Yes, different chats happening on different channels. I haven't got the Rumble chat open. I'm not sure that Rumble chat comes into the chat that I'm reading here in StreamYard. I think this comes through Facebook and might be one YouTube channel. So yeah, sometimes a lot of things do get missed. And let me just see if I've got a. Oh, yep, there you go. It's called the Donkey Sanctuary. Where are they located? New South Wales, Mars, is where the Donkey Sanctuary is located. I'm not going to tell you exactly for the aforementioned Chinese reasons, but the Donkey Sanctuary is located in New South Wales. They do deliver. Isn't that cool? So they deliver anywhere. And if they don't, I will. All I need is a car to pull the trailer big enough to put the donkeys on. So essentially, if you've got the car and the trailer, I'll get the donkeys and deliver them for you. How would that be? There's a hell of a road trip. Who knows? I could open up the trailer and John Wilson might emerge. I'm not saying he's a donkey. I'm just saying it'd be a dramatic entrance. So be listening, be looking. If you can do with a donkey, get in touch and I will hook you up. Okay. Sandy's telling me to look at my phone. What have you sent me, Georges? Oh, shit. All right. I can't do 2 cute photos in a night. But if you want more, oh, that's too cute for words. If you want more cute donkey photos, people, tomorrow night. All right? Tomorrow night. I've got to set that up and send it to myself and hook it into here. That's why you can't see it tonight. That is just gorgeous, Sandy. Thank you so much for that. And folks, tomorrow night you're going to get a bit of a look at Baz. May as well see the whole hog. Hey, have yourself a great night, folks. I don't think I've seen any questions here at this time. Yeah, there's a few less trolls around, George. Look, I'm only going to incite them now by talking about them, and that's how you get them. You just don't acknowledge them. What we're talking about. I will give the aforementioned troll credit where credit's due. I made it very clear I wasn't ever going to talk to her again and mention her name some time ago. And unless she was going to come to the party with some real facts, some real evidence, and wanted to come on and explain it to us, not in anonymity. Now, I'm not sure that she's committed to the not in anonymity part yet, but she has expressed in an email that she's keen to come on and talk about particularly the QSI thing. She accuses me of being in on this whole scam thing. I mean, good luck proving that. But that is their modus operandi. Oh, it's all a scam, it's all a scam, it's all a scam. Well, that's why I took interest in it. All right. I wanted to see if it was a scam. And if it is, we were going to show you, and we're going to have them show you it's a scam. In fact, when we put scam up on the screen with them and they all ignored it, we thought, well, that's a bit weird. And maybe you should have too. But I'm not completely sure the entire thing is a scam. I don't know enough about what's happened yet to say that it's all a giant ripoff and whatever. However, I am looking for people like her who do seem to know that side of the argument, and I am looking for people on the other side who are going to try and explain it, not make excuses for it. That's important. They need to explain what's going on. Interpretation can be one thing, but waking up and having your wallet emptied is something completely different, and certainly eye-opening. And from what I'm aware today, lots of people around the world have woken up today with an empty wallet, and they want to know how and why. So don't mind that. Don't mind that at all. So yeah, trolls. Trolls are unwelcome and should just be dismissed or ignored. No reference to them at all. Just ignore them. They live off their own self-importance, and if you acknowledge they exist, it just amplifies it to them. And talking about them, giving them a name, makes them sound important. They get off on the fact that they hear it on their screen, so I hesitate to say TV because most of these trolls are going to be watching from a little computer screen somewhere in mum's basement. But anyway, I'm determined to help expose the scam if that's what if it is a scam. Mind you, I'm also determined to protect the reputations of those people involved if they are not involved in the scam. If you know what I mean. So we've got to tread a little bit carefully, and we will tread carefully, but we will find the truth one way or the other. Bloody determined of it. And credit where credit's due. I appreciate the fact that she reached out and made contact and is open and willing to talk about this in a civilized manner going forward, even though she says she hates me, detests me, I think was the other one. And look, there are a few other, she's got a whole dossier lined up against me that she'll hand the federal police to, apparently, which will be fabulous. We'll see how it all goes, shall we? It's going to be a fun week. See you in Rockhampton.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!